What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with another Tales of Crestoria once again. Today, we have some article pages from Famitsu this time, that actually has even more information for us to kind of go over, and a lot of this is actually really exciting, even more so than the stuff we talked about yesterday. So, I have 3 articles here, which I'll leave the links to all 3 of these in the description of the video. But let's just hop into it, because this is probably going to be another one of those lengthy videos. So, I'm not going to go over the basic synopsis stuff, where they're just basically talking about, you know, what Tales of Crestoria is, you know, what you essentially do with the story and all that stuff there. There's some pretty cool screenshots here of all the different characters you'll be meeting through the story. So there is that. So they talk about the battle system here, which you can see there is an Eleanor here. This is going to be an SR Eleanor. So that will probably be a summonable unit pretty early on, which is pretty cool. They talk about here that, unfortunately, this game does not have the usual battle system of Tales, but, I mean, they're not going to have 2 gacha games with the exact same playstyle, so that's to be expected. Plus, I think a pick-up-and-play turn-based game for this kind of story is definitely much better, because Tales of the Rays isn't really a game you can play on the go. For the most part, you have to be sitting down somewhere where you can focus if you're gonna... Unless you're, like, auto-farming, Tales of the Rays is not the kind of game you play on the go. They're talking about how the 3D models are comparable to the most recent series, although I would even dare to say that Velvet here looks better than she did in her own game. But then again, it has been, like, 4 years, so... they talk about all the different mystic arts here. So we got Elemental Mastery for Milla right here. We got Luke's Radiant Howl. All that good stuff. They talk about the story right here. You can play any scene from a book, which will be nice. What's kind of cool here, it looks like there's going to be different, like, dialogue when you win we already knew this, but there's going to be different dialogue between characters when you win fights. As you can see, it looks like there's going to be something here between Eleanor and Velvet, something here between Velvet and Mizella, which is pretty cool. We already talked about the cooking feature. Like I mentioned in my previous video, you'll pretty much be able to take any character and work on their cooking level. It'll be interesting to see if there's any benefits to that. Now they're talking about the personalities of the characters, and some of the skits and whatnot, so that's pretty cool there. We get to see some more screenshots of gameplay here, and I think that's pretty much everything on this first page. They basically go on to explain you don't need to, you don't need to have played, like, every Tales game to be able to enjoy this game. This will be a pick up and play. You know, you can enjoy the story for what it is. Even though you'll be meeting these characters for the first time, you don't absolutely need prior knowledge on who they are in their own games in order to enjoy this game, because you'll see what kind of adventures they go through in this game. So that's cool for the first one there. Let's go to the second one here. They even say, you know, an introductory tale that anyone can start. It's going to be its own story. So we get some screenshots here. We already know that they're going to be on the run from these phantoms, or whatever you want to call them. We get some shots from the opening here, which we've already seen. This is another part where they're talking about Introductory to Battle. So this is obviously going to be the tutorial battle right here. You can see Kanata and Cress. We've already seen this before. This is just like I said, the... tutorial battle, essentially, where you're learning the gameplay. Here is your elements. So these will be what you have to pay attention to. I'm guessing this element right here is going to be specific to enemies. I don't think we're going to be able to get units that will have this element, because it just seems like it's one of those things. So we might be able to. I don't even know what this element would be considered, because this is light and dark. This would be like whatever the, like, phantom creatures are, I'm guessing will be like that element. So we got light, dark. Light and dark are not interchangeable. They're good against each other. So if you have a light unit, you'll be good against dark, but you'll also take double damage from dark. You know, it's pretty standard in Tales games like that. Earth is good against wind. Wind is good against water. Water is good against fire, and fire is good against earth. Pretty simple stuff there. You should get that memorized pretty quickly. They go into more stuff about gameplay, which there's not really too much to talk about now because it's really hard to kind of explain it without having the game itself. So we're gonna wait. I'll do more, you know, in-depth videos once we have the game in our hands. You know, obviously when the game comes out, I'll do a first impressions video where we'll play through the tutorial and whatnot. Now here's where I get really excited. So they talk about the summoning. Okay, so once the tutorial is over, so this is basically the tutorial. You just go through this one fight after you get the intro movie. And that kind of story there. It looks like there's a skip button too for the tutorial, so I guess for people who want to reroll, that'll be a good thing. But here's what's really exciting and will make it so people don't have to reroll as much. So they talk about here how you know, how the summoning works. It looks like I haven't seen any rare units. So I think that the two rarities, you probably have, like, rares are probably, like, story, like that first... Actually, no, I don't think I've ever seen anything below SR in these. We'll figure it out later, but essentially what it looks like is the gold... So it seems like blue is going to be SRs, and if you get a gold box in your summon, it's going to be an SSR. And they talk about here how the first summon, and I'll show it down here, Crest SSR was selected by character. Only one person can select freely for the first time. So it seems like there's going to be a list of SSRs in your tutorial summon that you're going to be able to choose. And then you get your actual tutorial summon where you get... So this person, basically, when they tested the game, they walked away with Velvet and Crest. So that's 2 SSRs for their team right off the bat. So that is an amazing thing to know. This does remind me a lot of how kind of SAO Rising Steel started. So you will essentially walk away with, unless you just get shafted on your... I don't know if you can get shafted on the tutorial multi. You might actually get, like, guaranteed 1 SSR, but we'll know when the game actually launches. But roughly, for the most part, you should be walking away after the tutorial with 2 SSRs. So that is very generous, and that's a great start for this game that seems to be going in the right direction. Now they're talking about the team system, which, as you can see here, you essentially have 6 slots. You have 4 slots for your main team. They'll be the ones on the field. And then you have your backup team. So if someone on your main team goes down, the next person in line will take that person's place. I'm curious if there's going to be a switching feature. You know, like, let's say, for example, you have a wave of enemies that you want a specific element for. Will you be able to switch out? I don't think I saw anything on the screen here that shows, like, any sort of, like, switching feature. Maybe if you click on the character, there will be an option for that, but right now it doesn't really look so. And then they go and show this. Okay, so this is what I really... So this is the equipment. So essentially, every character you get their... So, like, for an SSR, for example... Oh, there are rares. Okay, I take that back. So there are rares here. So I wonder if that means maybe a gold has a chance to be an SSR. Because you would think that rainbow would be... Unless this thing behind the gold is a rainbow. Because I always associate, you know, blue, gold, and then rainbow for SSR. But we'll figure that out once we actually have the summons in front of us. But yeah. So... essentially, when you pull an SSR, you also get their Memoria Stone. So, like, for example, you know... In the beginning, when you get your 2 SSRs in the beginning of the game, you'll have their equips that you're going to put on them immediately. But like a character like Kanata, this SR you get from the story, won't have a Memoria Stone because he's not an SSR, so you'll just put whoever you can manage on there. See, this Keel is a light attribute, so it'll be good for him to have that Keel right there. So that's cool there. You know, you level up the... Memoria Stone by regular means. It's basically an equip item. As you can see, it has its own level different from the actual character, so you have to level up both of them. So that's pretty cool there. And I assume the level of the Memoria Stone will probably have, like, higher levels if you have, like, more copies, maybe. So that's probably just for the Memoria Stone. We're going to talk about character levels here in a minute. They talk about the... Okay, so they're talking about how basically, you know, they wanted to keep playing the story. They got to play the story, and, you know, before their AP ran out, they ranked up, so they were able to keep playing. And then we get to see some screenshots of what they were able to do while playing. which is pretty cool. You get to see a full team of 6 right here. Okay, in certain battles of the story, the helper character sometimes participates. What do you mean the helper character? Okay, so it looks like there's... Oh, okay, these are guests. Okay, so depending on the part of the story you're at, there may be, like, characters that actually help out there. By clearing it, you can acquire gold, experience points, and items. As you can see, you get all kinds of stuff here. These are probably the enhanced potions, and then this is the gold itself. Let's grow the character. They basically explain how leveling up and enhancing and stuff works. There's also going to be missions where if you complete certain things in each stage, obviously, or just in general, there's probably going to be a missions tab too. You'll get more materials. There's going to be skits, which is, you know, a staple for the Tales series. Here's the customization stuff we saw already. You know, you can just customize whatever you want on the character. I like seeing this. These are going to be our farming stages, essentially. So, you know, you've got your enhance items. Looks like some of these might be awakening items. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. And then you can see all the different ones here. It looks like this will probably be for items for each element. There's a gold stage and some other stuff right there. I don't know what this is. It's kind of covered up, but you can see Judith kind of right there. This is probably the main story. You probably click this for main story. This is probably going to be whatever current event is up, and then these will be all your enhancement stages. Then they talk about the Tales of History, that it's really cool to be able to read up on the characters. You can see Crest right here. It shows like his height and everything, how much he weighs, and then a little description about him so you can get to know about the characters themselves. And then they go on to talk about the story a little bit more. So I am really excited that we start off with an SSR. You know, even if you get shafted in your tutorial multi, which the way it looks is you'll probably, the last slot will probably just be one of the random SSRs. The only way I'd probably, if that's the case, so like, let's say, for example, we get to choose one of them. You know, I hope you actually get to choose after you do your summon. So like, let's say, for example, I walked away with Kanata's SSR from my free summon, and then you get to choose another SSR on top of that. I would probably choose, oh man, I can't make that decision right now, but obviously I'm not going to choose the same character twice, because in the beginning I'm going to want to have more SSRs. So that'll be good there. That'll definitely be good. So it seems like after the tutorial, you're walking away with 2 SSRs regardless. But hopefully it is guaranteed SSR for the multi. If it's not, you know, reroll a few times. It like I said, it looks like you can skip the tutorial, so there's not a lot of wait time for that if you are going to be rerolling. But it doesn't seem like rerolling will be much of an issue. And then the last page we have here, let's scroll down. There's some more skits about the early stages excuse me, of the story, which I'm not going to look at because I don't want to be spoiled too much. But it does look like you meet Milla pretty early on, which is kind of cool. Okay, so there's Velvet, Cress, more stuff with Cress. Oh yeah, they mention here that the characters you're going to meet early on will be like Milla, Velvet, Emil and Mardo you'll meet pretty early on as well, which has me worried for an Emil banner, but it is what it is. Okay, here's what I want to talk about right here. So what it looks like here is, oh, by the way, we can open this real quick. You get to look at some of the SRs that are here. We've got one for Rose. We've got one for Eleanor. We've got one for Persea. I hope this isn't the Vague, because they promoted Vague as being one of the starting characters, so I do hope he gets an SSR, especially since out of all the SSRs we've seen, we don't have a water element yet. So I am hoping that he is going to be one of those. We got there's a lot of Berseria, Zestiria kind of favoritism going on here with these SRs. You got a Magilu, a Rokuro, a Rose. Oh, we already talked about the Rose here. You've got Zavid. So you can see it here. You can have more than... I wonder if this is your I'm very curious what this is. Is this like your extra... There's no scroll or anything, so this can't be your extra... Maybe this just is the characters you put on the side for, like, your boost. Like, it boosts your overall team power. I'm not sure. It's really hard to kind of say here. Let's see. There are 2 ways to... Okay, progress the main story. that can be obtained in Memoria Stone. Memoria Stone can be used as an equip item. Okay, so they're just basically talking about that. And then obviously we know some SRs are going to be equip only. They're not going to be characters you can actually use in battle, but I can't really tell the difference between one way or the other with these images here. Like, would this Vague be able to just be put in this slot here? It's really hard to say. But, okay, so what I was going to say is, this is going to be the kind of game where it looks like you actually physically infuse characters into one another. It doesn't seem like it's one of those games where you can just... So basically, there's going to be a character limit of what you can hold, because, you know, you'll fuse these Zavids into each other, I guess, if you're not using them. But I'm very curious what this side kind of tab is, because it doesn't really specify too much, because this is obviously your main team, and these look like they're side units, but there's no, like, unless there is a scroll thing and you just can't see it unless you're actually touching the screen. But as of right here, it just looks like there's 9 characters here. Maybe they're just for buffs or whatever. But, yeah. So there is going to be dupes of characters, so you'll actually have to physically infuse them if you want to kind of do that. I think for me, I'll probably keep all units that are... Well, if SRs can be awakened to SSR level, I'll probably keep them and awaken them eventually. But as of, you know, the start of the game, I think definitely working on SSRs and SRs will be important. Also, you can see, as for limit breaks, you know, you can see this crest has 2 of these lit up out of the 5. So it looks like there's going to be 5 limit breaks, which we're going to talk about here in a minute as we scroll down further. Okay, so you can look at the SSR artwork freely, which is pretty cool. Where's that one? There was one image I wanted to go over. I think I may have actually passed over it. Oh, no, it's this one. So, what I wanted to talk about here is the fact that, well, this is just a Memoria Stone. We've already talked about this here. I think there was an image I wanted to talk about where essentially it seems like you're gonna level up your characters without the need for it. Basically what it seems like is the dupes are going to be used for your mystic art level. It's not going to be used specifically for leveling. So I think levels will actually be, which I'm very happy about. It does seem like levels are going to be tied to the awakening materials you farm from stuff. So if there are like 5 actual limit breaks for the character's level, you know, they can, let's say they can go to level 100. That should be free to play stuff that you work on, but your mystic art level, so like Cress here, for example, this is his Memoria Stone. You probably have to work on his mystic art. His regular level, you know, it says 1 out of 50. You level that manually. But as for this 1 out of 6 here, those 5 dupes that you're going to have to get are probably, and you can see it down here too, you're probably going to have to summon for dupes. So if you want the most powerful Cress, or if you want the most powerful Mizella, you're going to have to pull multiple copies of them. But the fact that they just did 1 pull and they walked away with Velvet on their free pull does give me some kind of hope for the rates for this game, so we'll just have to see how that kind of works. But I think that's pretty much everything here. Yeah, and then as you can see, here's Velvet's as well. You know, you see the 1 out of 6. You see the level 1 out of 50. So it does seem like regular leveling and limit breaking your characters will be as simple as just getting those awakening materials from the farming events and working on that, which I assume will be pretty grindy in the beginning. I'm sure the materials are going to be much harder to get than they will later on. But that'll be something to look at there. Also, it looks like you get 30 of these per stage, which actually isn't that much. You might get like 30 here, and maybe you get another 20 for just the completion of the first time. So, like, if you got like 50 every time, how many... you'd have to do, what, like... you'd have to do like 50 stages, essentially, in order to get enough for a multi. Because multis will be 2,500 of these gems. So, it'll be interesting to see how that works, but there will be mission rewards and stuff to kind of help with that. But, that's going to be pretty much it. That's all the new information we got. I assume we're going to keep getting more information as time goes on. The character movies themselves should be starting here in a few weeks, or not weeks, in a few days. I feel like probably at the start of the week, you know, maybe one day each, they'll probably start doing those character movies that they talked about with the live stream info. And then after that, we should get some news about the open beta, because they said early May for the open beta for us to test out the game. We still don't know what that's going to entail, but I still feel like it's going to be what I've been saying about the soft release, because like I said, I can't think of any open betas for gacha games that were literally just, here's a preset team, here, you can try it for this amount of time. But I could be wrong. You know, other people have been saying to me that that is a possibility that they do that. And if they do that, they do that. At least we get to try the game. But I guess we'll see either way here in like a week or so. But let me know what you guys think down below. I think this is really good. So the people who wanted to start with a specific character will be able to do that from the starting pool. I assume it'll be just whatever characters are on the starting banner, which would make sense. So yeah, so it looks like you'll do your multi, and then probably after the multi, you get to choose. So that'll be cool there. You walk away with 2 SSRs, and then you can keep going with that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more if you're new to the channel. You want to stay up to date with everything Tales of Crestoria. I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.